MSNBC.
Welcome back to the Ed Show, and thanks for watching tonight. The harsh anti-immigration law in Arizona has taken a lot of heat for allegedly encouraging legal racial profiling. But even as Arizona Republicans are trying to soften the law with changes, a new poll shows the majority of Americans are pretty much okay with it. In a New York Times CBS News poll, 51% say the current Arizona law is about right. 36% say it goes too far. 9% say it doesn't go far enough. In Arizona, Phoenix Mayor Phil Gordon has hit a roadblock in his efforts to challenge the new state law, which he calls embarrassing. But the city attorney says the mayor can't sue the state without the city council's authorization. Mayor Gordon is now asking the United States Justice Department to take a stand. For more, let me bring in California Congressman Brian Bilbray. He's the chairman of the Immigration Reform Caucus. Congressman, good to have you with us tonight. We have some agreement in some areas on this, but specifically on this law in Arizona, the fight that's going on, do you really think that we're making headway when it comes to securing our borders, making sure everybody's paying their taxes? I mean, where are we going with this whole conversation in this country, in your opinion?
Ed, we ought to be finding those things we do agree on. Look, I grew up on the border. I'm probably the only member of Congress that have rescued illegals when they were drowning. I was a lifeguard. I recovered their bodies. I saw them slaughtered on the freeways. But, you know, we always talk about securing the borders when you and I know the problem is not at the border. That's a symptom. The real problem is that Washington, D.C. has to have clear and precise procedures to stop employers from hiring people illegally. And then you wouldn't have people going through the neighborhoods of Arizona and creating the problems and the crisis that Arizonans are trying to address. And people may not agree with the way they're addressing it, but I think everybody agrees that there's real justification for Arizona and a lot of people along the border to be frustrated that the rest of the country isn't requiring employers to stop the problem.
So, Congressman, there's 10 states out there that pretty much want to emulate what Arizona's doing. There's a poll out there that says 51% of Americans are in favor of what's happening here. Does this mean that the country is behind Arizona?
Well, I think it's that Arizona was behind the federal government's program. And Ed, the 287G, which is a federal program, what they've done, if they've implemented as a statewide program, cities and counties around this country have implemented 287G, which is a federal program that even President Obama has been pushing very strongly on. Yeah. And so the real problem here is that it outlaws amnesty cities. And I think a lot of people really resent the state telling the cities that they can't put a gag order on their law enforcement on this issue. You know, there are federal issues that law enforcement gets involved with all the time. Bank robbery is a federal issue. Drug smuggling is a federal law. But we don't tell local law enforcement they can't participate. But again, I think the one thing is here is you got to do it within the Constitution. You got to set very clear guidelines that you cannot use racial profiling and
well, that's the fear in all of this. That's the fear in this Arizona law. That's what it's going to lead to. There's a lot of room for human error in all of this, but the fact that 10 states have gone on to it, and there's probably going to be more, I think is very telling. One more point I want to make with you. If we're headed towards immigration reform in this country, wouldn't this be a good political stand for the Republicans to take, to reach out to the president? Wouldn't this be one issue? Because let's face it, votes do count.
Well, I think the one issue you get into it is Arizona 2 years ago implemented E-Verify. Everybody thought that was going to be the end of the world.
Yeah, but E-Verify, Congressman, I have to challenge you on that. E-Verify is a program, and not every employer goes by it. There's a lot of cheating going on out there.
And that is why what you do with the Schuler bill, which is a Democrat bill, you also require that you got to E-Verify and check if you want to take IRS write-offs. And you and I know, Ed, you want to crack down on the employers. You have the IRS auditing them for tax evasion when they hire an illegal, not just the INS. And you and I know that'll put the fear of God in them and be able to really make the point that we need to focus on the fact that the illegal employers start getting nailed. They will be too frightened to continue the problem.
I'm all for going after people that hire illegals. I'm also all for getting more people paying taxes and getting money into the Treasury, which immigration reform would do for this country. Congressman, good to have you with us tonight. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.